because the radicalization of the Republican Party, consisting of three different streams, maybe just one of these three streams is more or less moderate, but the other two streams, the libertarian stream and the evangelical stream, are completely fanatical, have lost all sense of the practical and all idea of a normal analysis of society. That's the reason that the American political system has become dysfunctional. And as long as the Republican Party is what it is today, the political system will remain dysfunctional. So, root for Hicks and Tobin as presidential candidate, with Michelle Bachmann or Sarah Palin as a vice presidential candidate. Because if the nutcases lose heavily in November, if they are electorally destroyed, then maybe the Republican Party can come back to a more or less normal political track. If Mitt Romney is the candidate and is destroyed in November, the nutcases will say, as I have already said, see, we have to move into the direction of our nutty ideas, because otherwise the nation will be lost and our party will be lost. If the Republicans get into the White House and have a majority in the Senate and the House, or in the House or the Senate, doesn't make that much of a difference, they will end Obamacare. So this very fundamental change, very fundamental revolution in the way American healthcare is organized will disappear. Dodd-Frank will disappear. All the important things that Obama has done in his first 2 years will disappear. And of course, if the United States was a state like Belgium, who cares? Who cares what happens to Belgium? Yeah, that's a nation where they have been nutty for the last 600 years. So, and nothing much changed in the world because of it. The great problem, by the way, the Belgians are very friendly, nutty people, so it's not. It's a small nation. The great problem that we have in the world is that the United States is and will be for the next 20 years at least the most important and mightiest nation in the world. In that sense, we are all dependent on the United States. If that nation is run by nutty people, by complete fools, then that's terrible for the rest of the world. We've seen that between 2001 and 2009, what the effects can be of a nutty president in the United States. What do you think about the credit crisis? Who organized the credit crisis? The United States. So let's hope, let's pray, if you're religious, let's pray that Nixon will come down from heaven together with Ronald Reagan, and that they will have two wonderful speeches at the Republican convention and will make clear to the present-day Republicans, you're all idiots. Please come back to earth and stop your foolish ideas and your foolish policies. That's not going to happen. So the thing to happen is for Obama to win the election, and of course to cross your fingers that also the Republicans will lose their majority in the House of Representatives. You can, this is about it, thank you for your attention, but you can ask me any questions that you want to ask me.
You said at some point that historically these radicalizations of basically anything were reasonably short-lived most of the time. Do you think that this radicalization from the Republican Party will just go away at some point, or is it actually just self-perpetuating, and are we not really there yet? Is it going to be? It's going to get worse before it's going to get better.
I must confess that I has been much too optimistic in the past. When the older Bush, of course, was unseated by Bill Clinton, I thought, well, we've had it with American conservatism in this particular incarnation. And then, of course, that turned out to be a completely wrong conclusion from what was happening, because we got the younger Bush, and all things turned out to be Gingrich in '94, the impeachment of Bill Clinton, and then the younger Bush. So evidently the right-wing movement still had an enormous momentum. And I think the fact that's maybe the only negative fact about Barack Obama is that he electrified conservative white Republican Americans because he's a black guy. That's why I said, well, they suddenly realized, by God, there's a nigger in the White House. How come? How's that possible? I mean, we were sure that niggers are simply too stupid to come into the White House. That's so in a way that there is in the Tea Party movement there is a radical anger and resentment which comes from the right wing, and that gave new energy to the right wing movement. It's, by the way, politically it's a completely incoherent movement, completely. I mean, they are for a small government, but they want to continue Medicare and Social Security. So it's ridiculous, it's hypocritical, it's incoherent. It has nothing to do with political and social reality, but it has a lot of emotional energy, an enormous emotional energy. Are you Dutch or not? It's the same with the right-wing movement in the Netherlands. I mean, it's incoherent, it's stupid, it's lunacy, but it seems to have an enormous emotional energy. So can I prophesy that it will end in the next 10 years? I don't know. Let's hope so. I mean, it's a problem not only, by the way, in the United States. It's a problem all over the Western societies. This right-wing aggression, resentment, anger, and all infused with an enormous amount of emotion, which probably has to do with vague fears. Our world is changing into a new world that we don't like, that we don't feel used to. It's something like that. It must be. So I can promise you nothing. I've been too optimistic in the past, and maybe I'm too optimistic now. I don't know. Yeah.
To what extent do you think that your negative views on the American political system can be explained by the general tendency that people as they get older get a more negative view of the world?
Okay. You're probably
generation under them. So.
Yeah, you're probably an agent of this euthanasia organization. I don't think my opinions about the American political system have anything to do with my age, by the way. Because if that would be the case, then you could fairly say that anybody who writes negatively about Rick Santorum or the American political system is anyway over 65, and maybe for read the New York Times or the Washington Post, or read all the more or less normal American media, newspapers, whatever, and you will see that they completely agree that I'm a very moderate person when it comes to my views of the American political system. Quite a lot of Americans have been desperate about their own political system for years and years on end.